Hello and welcome to a brand new episode. I'm Shiron91 and today we are going to go back in time and take a look at a timeless classic for the PlayStation 1, Spyro the Dragon. So, after the success of the Crash Insane Trilogy, everybody was expecting a remake of Spyro the Dragon to happen, including me. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and months turned into a year. From a fake leak rumor that got everyone excited only to have their hopes crushed, to the lackluster Activision stream, all of our hopes and dreams were about to fade away. But then, all of a sudden, it was officially announced, and everybody praised the day it was finally confirmed and announced. I even remember that there were tears that day. But why is this franchise so loved? Not just by me, but by everybody else in the world. One word: nostalgia. Nostalgia was the reason why we loved this franchise along with Crash Bandicoot. When I was a little kid, I remember every time I lost a life, that day was filled with crying, screaming, and kicking. And no, I didn't shove things up my bum. But when I got older and I had a PlayStation 3, I was able to buy all 3 of the games digitally onto the system. And I remember playing them over and over. And no matter how many times I played this game, I still have that nostalgic feeling in my heart. And so to celebrate the Spyro Reignited Trilogy finally being announced, I will try my very hardest to focus on all 3 of the Spyro games. Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, and Spyro Year of the Dragon. So, let's start at the very beginning of the game, as we dive headfirst into the one that started it all, Spyro the Dragon for the PlayStation 1. Whoops. Ten out of 10. Also, a big huge thank you to Edgar Runes, who donated me his old copy. Spyro the Dragon is a platforming game developed by Insomniac Games, the company in which was also responsible for the Ratchet & Clank series, and was published by Sony Computer Entertainment. The game was released on September 9th, 1998 in North America, and on October 10th, 1998 in Europe. The game, however, was only released for the PlayStation system, just like how the Crash Bandicoot series was. The game stars a small purple dragon named Spyro, with his dragonfly friend, Sparks, as they venture through the Dragon Kingdom to rescue the other dragons from a spell placed on them by the antagonist of the game, Gnasty Gnorg. The reviews for Spyro the Dragon were extremely positive, with Edge giving it a 7 out of 10, GameSpot giving it an 8.3 out of 10, and IGN giving it a 9 out of 10. Not to mention nearly 5 million copies of the game were sold worldwide. I grew up in a time when PlayStation games were starting to rise in their popularity, along with the Nintendo systems. But the only genres of game I played at the time were JRPGs, even before I knew what they were, and platformers. And just like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon was another platforming game that holds a very special place in my heart. I was 7 years old and I was not very good at video games. But despite that, I still had fun with it, even if I died a lot. Now, years later, playing this game again really tugs at my heartstrings, because being able to play this game and to talk about it definitely has a lot. But just like with Final Fantasy VIII, Spyro the Dragon is yet another childhood game of mine that I'm gonna have to criticize. It's going to be hard, but I gotta do it. So I'm gonna have to do my very best on this review and give it the best review for the 3 Spyro games. And who knows, maybe I can do the old school Crash Bandicoot games whenever I get the chance, but I'm not going to hold any promises on that. But for the next 3 months, it's all about Spyro the Dragon. So, let's start with the appearance of the game.
I always believed in you, Spyro.
You gotta believe!
Presentation-wise, this game is extremely beautiful. The rich, vibrant colors, the beautiful landscapes, and the enemies themselves are awesome to look at. Sometimes. The artist responsible for it is known as Charles Zimbillis, and he really knows how to make the worlds pop. From the artisan home, to Peacekeeper, to Magic Crafter, every level is beautiful. Of course, the three I mentioned are actually the hub worlds of the game, and each artisan homeworld has their own portals to other worlds, and even those worlds are amazing. Each and every level is very creative, and it was all made for a PlayStation 1 system of all things. That's really awesome. However, there are two worlds I wasn't really fond of, and they were Haunted Tower and Treetops, both of which of those levels are very annoying. But after playing through the levels now older, I didn't have much of a problem with them. Maybe it was just me when I was younger. Not to mention that this game's music is also beautiful. The composer of this game is Stuart Copeland, an American musician and composer best known for being the drummer of the rock band called The Police. And he's produced film and video game soundtracks. Every hub world and every other level each have their own unique soundtrack, from the main title and all the way to the credits music. From beginning to end is spot on. But don't take my word for it. Take a listen to a few of them yourself. The composer himself has definitely done a lot of hard work, and it definitely paid off. Out of all of them though, my favorite one has to be Dark Hollow. Personal favorite. And from what I've heard recently, the Reignited Trilogy has done a remastered version of the Dark Hollow soundtrack, and it sounds so good. Sorry, got sidetracked there. Moving on. The story begins with a news team having an interview with a couple of dragons within the artisan world, and this honestly begs the question, who were those interviewers? Are they humans like you and me? If they were humans, I honestly would love to live there. However, one of the reporters decides to ask about Gnasty Gnorc, the leader of the Gnorcs, who are half gnome and half orcs that are named Gnorcs. Subtle. One dragon decides to describe him as a simple-minded creature who poses no threat and decides to go overboard by calling him ugly. This enrages Gnasty, and he casts a spell to turn all of the dragons into crystal statues, and then sends out his horde of soldiers to take over the land. However, one dragon is spared from the spell, and it is up to Spyro to rescue his dragon brethren, defeat Gnasty Gnorc, and save the land. The story was written by Peter Kleinier, and the story itself is funny, but I like it a lot. And this game taught me a very important lesson. Watch who you call ugly or else they'll turn you into a statue. There's really not much to say to the story, but it's enjoyable to say the least. However, I don't think the story was really the big focus. The real focus went to the gameplay.
Orc has put one of his most devious henchmen in charge of the artisan world.
Bring him on. I think I smell a barbecue.
Be careful, Spyro. This boss has many tricks up his sleeve.
The genre of the game is labeled as a platformer, as it should be because there's definitely a lot of platformer elements here and there. So you'll have to glide, charge, and use other methods to get through the levels one by one, all the while collecting treasures that were stolen by Gnorc, saving the crystallized dragons, and recovering the dragon eggs stolen by those blue thieves with big hats. So how do you get back their stolen treasure? Two ways: destroying stuff and defeating enemies. Destroying stuff, as in finding items like treasure chests, metal vases, baskets of fireworks, using little rockets to open up the steel crates, and other methods is one way to find gems. Except the blue crates with the eyes peeking out of it. Those give you lives. However, there are times that you will have to search for keys in order to unlock steel chests. And honestly, looking for those keys are really tricky to find, so keep your eyes peeled for them. And some gems can actually lie around the area waiting to be picked up. In fact, the game itself is really one of those games that makes you really think outside of the box. In fact, there was one time I was losing so many lives, and I had no idea how to get to that one place in Haunted Towers. I was so stupid. However, I didn't beat myself up too much because in the end, I was able to overcome that obstacle. And when I did, I was very proud of myself. Every single realm has their own unique way of getting treasure, dragons, and other secrets of the game. And I really appreciate that a lot.
This game doesn't treat you like you're stupid. You have a brain, use it. Figure it out.
And then there's defeating enemies. Spyro has two main attacks, breathing fire and charging with his horns, and you have to use those very carefully. Charging is mostly used against smaller enemies. Larger enemies, on the other hand, can be taken down with a flame breath attack. And if you defeat that enemy, you'll grab its treasure. But if you die on accident and defeat them again, you'll instead get silver orbs, which can get you another life when you complete the circle. Also, is it just me, or do the orbs almost look like silver BB gun pellets? However, you will also need to be very careful with the enemies, because they can hit hard and they can kill you. Like many platformer games, there are a series of unfortunate events that can lead to Spyro's demise. Sparks the Dragonfly acts as Spyro's health meter. Every time Spyro gets hit by an enemy, Sparks will change color. Yellow, he is at full health. Blue, he has 2 hits left. Green, he has only 1 hit left. When he's gone, Spyro will die. So to replenish Sparks back to its yellow color, Spyro can defeat fodders, a name for small creatures that Spyro can defeat and regain health. If a fodder is defeated, its body will poof out a butterfly for Sparks to eat, and it varies from different types of creatures depending on the realms you're in, like sheeps, frogs, chickens, rabbits, frilled lizards, bats, goat sheeps, spotted chickens, mushrooms, and rats. And these kinds of creatures are everywhere, so if your health is extremely low or Sparks isn't there anymore, find these kinds of critters and take them out so you can get your health back. Right now, lamb sounds really good right about now. What? I ate some at a Renaissance fair one time. It was pretty good. I really miss the Renaissance fair. Each realm has a certain number of gems, dragons, and eggs respectively. However, in the case of the eggs, there are only 12 in all. Gems can rally up from 200 to 500 gems to find in a level, and some of these gems are not easy to find, and it requires a lot of thinking in order to find them. And encased dragons can rally up from only 1 or to 5 in different realms, and just like with the gems, you have to pay attention for them too. Each of the hub worlds have 5 different realms in total, 3 normal realms, 1 flight realm, and 1 boss realm. And if you want to collect all of the gems, all of the dragons, and all of the eggs in order to beat the game 100%, they are not going to be easy to look for. But trust me, when you do, it'll be so worth it in the end. So after you defeat Gnasty Gnor, collected all of his gems, freed all of the dragons, and recovered all of the stolen dragon eggs, a third door will open labeled Gnasty's Loot. And in that realm, you can collect literally 2,000 gems. Oh my god, he's a bigger hoarder than dragons are. There are no enemies to fight, thank goodness. However, there are thieves around that you have to chase down in order to get keys. And when you complete that part, an alternate ending plays where Spyro is again interviewed by the mysterious news reporters, just as another magic spell comes in and crystallizes the dragons. Again, all the while Spyro makes this statement.
Here we go again.
And then credits. Again. But of course, like I said before, I don't think the story was the biggest focus. Its gameplay is where it's at. Gameplay wise, I absolutely love it. With one exception. The camera. Lordy lordy, take me to the quarries, the camera is a pain in the tail to work with. Not all the time, but some of the time. You can change how fast and slow the camera can move, active or passive mode respectively. In active mode, the camera moves much faster. Passive mode has the camera move much slower, but that's not a problem. It's the direction of where you look is what's the problem. It goes with a reverse control in general, with its camera position holding down the triangle button, allowing you to see through Spyro over the head. But if you want to look up, you'll have to press the down button on the directional buttons, and vice versa. On the surface, it doesn't sound like a bad idea, but in execution, it can be really frustrating. Because whenever I try to look up, I always look down because I'm pressing the up button instead of the down button. And I always keep forgetting. And there's no way to fix it. Are you serious? What, I can change the speed of the camera, but not the camera controls? What gives? When I want to look up, I should be pressing the up button to look up, not look down! But to be fair, the triangle button does have its uses. If you ever want to look forward, just simply tap the triangle button and there, you got it. As for the rest of the controls, they work pretty well. You move, charge, and breathe fire like an actual dragon, and this game literally makes you feel like a dragon with its controls. By pressing the X button, you can simply jump, but by pressing the jump button twice, you can glide. And while gliding, you can press the triangle button to stop midair and do a drop down butt bomb move that makes everything within a 10-mile radius explode! Not really, but it would have been so cool if it did. And like I mentioned with looking around the environment, you have to hold down the triangle button. Circle is to breathe fire, square is to charge, and while charging, you can press X to perform a skip quick charge. L1 and R1 is to side roll, L2 and R2 is to move the camera. Start button is to simply pause the game, and the select button allows you to view your inventory. And each and every one of the control commands are really responsive.
Hey, didn't I already free you?
You're in Gnasty's world now, Spyro, and you are the dragon who must defeat him.
Bring him on! I'm ready!
Reach the exit in each of Gnasty's lands. Then you can challenge the Nork himself.
There's not really a whole lot of characters to talk about, just only Spyro the Dragon himself. According to the wiki page, yes, there's a wiki for that, Spyro is portrayed as energetic and curious, and somewhat mischievous, with little regards of his own safety. He is also described as a courageous hero known for his somewhat cocky attitude and stubbornness. And the game really presents that about him. But he's not a character that's hateable. I actually love Spyro. In fact, it was because of Spyro, my love of dragons really grew to the point of me being obsessed with dragons. No shame whatsoever.
I always believed in you, Spyro.
You gotta believe!
And if I was the richest man in the world, I would honestly buy the Spyro the Dragon statue, and if that metallic purple egg ever becomes available, I will buy it.
You know, despite the game's flaws with the camera, I still had a great time with it. This, in my opinion, was one of the best platformer games I've ever played. And just like with Crash Bandicoot, that held a very big place in my heart, so did Spyro. It's fun, it's colorful, it's challenging, and it is definitely, without a doubt, one of the best platformer games I could have ever played as a kid. And now that I'm older, I appreciate this game 10 times more than I did when I was little. Of course, when I was young, I was really stupid and I didn't know any better. Beside the fact, short, sweet, and to the point, I love this game. And so, with that being said, my final rating for this game is without a doubt the first ever perfect score of a 5 out of 5. And it is absolutely, positively, without a doubt, worth it.
I love this game. There are no other words to describe how much a childhood memory like this could engrave itself deep within my mind. Whenever I play this game, I always feel like my 7-year-old self playing again. Reliving my childhood memories is honestly the best feeling I could ever have. And that's what a game like this should really have. A really warming, welcoming feeling. It's not really a difficult game at all. If anything, the game is actually loads of fun, and it's easy to play. Even to this day, it may be the nostalgia talking, but if there was only one thing I could say about it, is that my nostalgia has never failed me. And replaying this game once again for the sake of the Spyro remake finally being announced, makes those 3 months of doing the Spyro videos oh so worth it. However, the physical copies of this game can be expensive, especially on Loogie games. But if you want to blow $40 on this game, I say go for it if you want it. For me, the best option is to buy it off the PSN network. It's way cheaper. Not to mention, you can get the other 2 sequels, all for $9.99 each. If you play this on the PlayStation 3 system, or if you have a PlayStation Vita, you can download it onto the handheld system where you can play that on the go. But in all seriousness, this game is a timeless treasure and one that you really need to get your hands on and play for yourself. So, if you ever have a PlayStation 3 system or a PlayStation Vita, go ahead and search and play for yourself Spyro the Dragon.
That one was definitely a really great ride. Despite the flaws that this game had, it had a lot of ups. And it still holds itself up for being one of the best platformer games out there aside from Crash Bandicoot. And now with the first game done, I'm ready to tackle Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage.
Trouble with the trolley, eh? Well, just use the D-pad or analog stick to change lanes. Press the X button to jump, and press the circle button to fire the cannon. You're pretty fast, but not as fast as me. What do you say? Would you like to give it another shot?
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video of Spyro the Dragon. If you really liked it, please charge into that subscribe button down below, if you haven't already. And also charge into that notification bell to let you all know when videos are coming out. Also, make sure you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Links will be in the description below. I'm really sorry that this video took so long to make. With the moving and other stuff going on, I really have had a lot of motivation issues, and also learning how to use a new video editor can be a pain. But I'm getting the hang of it. But anyway, are you guys excited for the Spyro Reignited Trilogy? Please let me know in the comments below. I'm Shiron91, and I hope to see you all on the next episode. Happy gaming, everybody.